You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver media podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. CanadianTarot.com, your uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community and forum, and The Pepper Master, hot pepper sauces made from fresh farm ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind.
Well, good morning. I hope everybody's doing good this morning. This is not a solo show. Mr. Beaver is with me in the green room. He's just having a technical glitch audio-wise and is working on it as we speak. So hopefully he'll be able to join us in a minute or two. I'm sure he'll send me a message once he's got some audio. But for some reason, his audio is not working, and we're not quite sure why. That being said, I do have a permanent fix in place for that very soon. I have some new equipment for Mr. Beaver. It's going to tweak his sound a little bit. Got some software and another microphone, so we'll be able to solve this problem permanently. Hopefully permanently in the very near future. Anyway, I hope you're doing good this morning. It is a sunny, lovely sunny Monday morning here in the nation's capital of Ottawa, Canada, and Ottawa, Ontario, Canada. We need to include Ontario because our corrupt criminal premier, Doug Ford, he seems to forget that Ottawa is in Ontario. So I think it's important that I preface it and highlight the fact that we are indeed in Ontario. Okay, we want to say thanks to our founding sponsors, the Pepper Master, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing. Yeah, let's get the word out, Paul. And CanadianTarot.com. That's all of them, right? I literally drew a blank there for a moment. I'm not fully awake this morning, and I apologize. I went to bed, fell asleep actually. Probably around 10:30, I was watching a docudrama on the Sacklers and the Purdue Pharma issue with OxyContin in the United States, and of course, it's crept up in here into Canada. I fell asleep watching that and woke up at around 12:30 on the couch with a stiff neck because I was at an angle. Anyway, crawled into bed and didn't exactly sleep well, so I'm a little out of it first thing this morning, but that's okay. I will have a couple of cups of coffee, a couple of mugs of coffee, and slowly wake up, make my way through the day. I was going to say into the office, but I'm not in the office today. I'm working from home. It's going to be a day. It's going to be a day. Mr. Beaver, I think he's with us.
Yes, I am. Hey, I did my own tech.
Nice. Nice.
I'm learning.
Well, I've got as I was mentioning a second ago, I've got something new for you. So I've got a new mic arm for you, right? I also have I also have. Hang on.
All right. Well, while he goes and do that, hello, good morning, and hello, kids, and welcome to the show. Glad I could finally make it. Ooh.
So this is virtually it's the same microphone as what you're using for the most part, and I say for the most part. The difference is this particular model is like the one you currently have is analog, so it runs into a mixer, which then connects via USB to your computer. And that's the best way to do things. But because I'm using a different mixer with built-in Aphex onboard software, I have some additional audio controls over my mixer that you don't have on yours. So I was doing a little bit of research, technical research last week, and I thought, this could fix that problem. This microphone is USB only, USB-C. So I might need to order a USB-C card for your computer, which is not a big deal. That's like 10, $15. But this mic patched into and you plug your headphones directly into the microphone. It has a volume control directly on the microphone. It has a little on-air light, so it'll light up to let you know when you're on air. And it's a USB-C connection, and then you run it through Unify, which is Rode's software, which is effectively giving you the same sort of audio controls over your microphone that I have on my outboard mixer.
Pretty cool.
So I'll bring that to you along with the microphone, Mom, and have to get you set up. At some point in the near future. And and I'll just take all that stuff back and we'll set you up with this one. And this one actually has the same sort of shock absorbing mic mount that I use. So it'll be a big jump for you because, like I said, you have a great mic, you have a great mixer, but you don't have some of the same software effects that I have. So now you will, without having to spend $600 on a new mixer. I spent $350 on a mic, so it works. Saved money. $350 was with tax, by the way, because normally that microphone is $360 on its own, but it was a $60 off deal, so it works out well. Anyway,
all right. Good deal. Savvy shopper. I'm guessing that you thanked the sponsors.
Yes, I did.
Did the intro? Okay.
Yes,
so yeah,
I never forget to do that. I know where my bread is buttered.
Okay, there are weird things coming up. I just have something called the spelling panel that just
I don't know
popped up on my screen for some reason, and I haven't touched a thing. Okay, so kids, I am sorry for being late. Spectacularly, for some reason, I decided that I was going to trip over the headphones, which pulled the mixer, and which apparently seemed to unplugged it from the power source.
That'll do it.
I noticed that there were no lights on, so I figured maybe that had something to do with it. Good morning, everyone. Kit Jen, Kit Dan, Kit Mohan, Kit Miss Sadeka, Kit Tabby G, Kit Jillian, Kit Dan, Kit Ellen. Good morning, Mademoiselle Fox. Lovely to see you. Kit Ellen, Kit Linda. Who else do we have here? Kit P and C Bio. Lovely to see you today. Again, things are okay. Now it says that I'm having connection issues. I do not know what the hell is going on, but my computer is being so. There's actually like a little white box that's appearing over the private chat that says Weston CIO is used and says insert or cancel, and I have no idea why that's there.
Yeah, just
I've
leave it
never
alone.
seen
I don't
that
know
before.
what it means.
I'm actually like there's like somebody chatting with someone, and I'm actually seeing it.
I don't know what that means.
It's weird. Okay,
I don't know what that
making
means.
A beeping sound. Anyway, all right. Yeah, so spectacularly, I decided to trip over everything. So, superstar. All right. So, Super Beaver. A really cool thing happened to me yesterday.
What was that?
For the very, 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 very first time, I was just out doing stuff with my Beaver sweetie. And we were in the parking lot and we were putting stuff back in the car. And somebody just stopped and goes, "Hey, are you Mr. Beaver?"
Cool. What did you say? Who's asking?
I must have seemed like really awkward at first because I just I never expected that to happen. So I was just Yes, and I don't really remember much what happened. I remember asking him for his name, and he said what he'd go by, but I was just so stunned that it had happened that I completely I mean, I know what he looks like, but I
Mhm.
completely forgot what he said his handle was. So whoever you are, thank you. I'm so sorry.
So
Uh,
when that happens to me once in a very, very blue moon, and usually when it does, my first reaction is, who's asking? Because I'm cautious, right?
well, yeah. See, that didn't
Is
even
is
occur to
this
me.
is this a lover or a hater? Because if it's a hater, I'm ready. That's why. Who's asking?
Hmm.
Oh, I
Didn't
just
even
watch your
occur
show
to
all the
me.
time. I really like it. Oh, yeah, okay. And I explained, look, I'm just cautious because I know some of the things I say are incendiary and it will piss off a lot of the haters. And I want the haters keep hate watching us. Please do that. But I'm not inviting violence, But some people, as we all know, as we've seen, as we've witnessed, will commit acts of violence just because they don't like what you said. But they're all for freedom, right? They're all
Mm-hmm.
for freedom of expression. Until you express something they don't like, then they want to punch you in the face.
Hmm.
Look, it, the freedom of expression that we use, yes, I express my opinion about how much I dislike Pierre Poliver and Danielle Smith and Doug Ford because they're terrible people who are doing terrible things to innocents. But my opinion of them is always based on the facts of what they do, the terrible things that they do, the criminal things that they do. You don't like that. You don't have to, but you can't attack me for telling the truth. If I was spreading lies, if I was trying to gaslight the public like Andrew Lawton does on a daily, then you want to take umbrage with that and punch me in the face. I could understand that. But we don't do that here. We give you the facts. And oftentimes, you don't like the facts. Well, facts are facts. And there's times that I don't like them either. But we're still going to give them to you.
Oh, yeah. Well, facts are not there for you to like them or not.
Nope.
They just are.
Yeah.
You can't do anything about them. They're facts. You accept them or you don't, but there's a reason they're called facts.
Yes. Exactly.
Right.
And they're not alternative. They're just facts.
Just facts. Yeah. So this thing with Doug Ford,
Mm,
we're finding out
more.
Well, as more and more people actually read, the 95-page report and go in and they're putting things together. And there's an excellent CBC front burner out today called Ontario's Greenbelt, Doug Ford, and an Explosive Audit with Fatima Sayed from the Narwhal.
Okay.
Because the
I'll have to
Narwhal
have a
and the
look at
Toronto
that.
Star were the first two that really dug
Really
into
dug.
this.
Yeah.
I really recommend you listen to it because it's amazing when you hear the actual story, right? Because we have the Auditor General's conclusions, and she says in the when we're going through the press conference that there was no process and it was indefensible, but in the report she goes into just how indefensible it is, and it is something.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to have a listen to that afterwards.
It is really something.
None of it surprises me, but at the same time, I'm just enraged by it, right? Because Doug Ford railed on about the gravy train, and his brother Rob railed on about the gravy train is ending, and these backroom deals and these corrupt politicians. It's like, oh, Dougie, that's adorable. That's adorable that you said those things back in 2016, because you're as corrupt as the day is long. And here's a quote I've got from Yasser Naqvi, my member of parliament for the Federal Liberal Party. Ford has been giving his friends whatever they want with no regard for what's best for Ontario, while some politicians in all parties pull their punches for fear of losing out on potential donations. We are heading to a dangerous place where power is unchecked and politicians are too busy feathering their own nest to look after the public interests. Call in the OPP. It's time to clean up Queen's Park. I would say call in the RCMP because the brass at the OPP are, well, buddy buddy with old Dougie. You folks are maybe not aware yet, but our friend David Wallace received a phone call from the OPP the other day, warning him to stop spreading information, stop talking, stop ginning up the public about Doug Ford's corruption. Hi. It's rather corrupt when you have your own private security force threaten a private citizen for speaking his truth.
I mean, it was a big thing in Alberta when Casey Madu called up the police and said, are you sure that ticket was because I did something wrong and it wasn't because of the color of my skin?
Yeah.
Sure about that?
Yeah.
That little phone call? Except this is the other way around, which is kind of interesting because that's one of the points that Fatima Sayed made. It's like, it wasn't the government that went to them. It was the developers that came to him. When he said that he was open for business, he really meant it. Now, there's a little clip. I have audio only, but I want to play it because this is a flashback to before the election, that video that got out where he was talking to his friends. Just remember this.
In the Greenbelt for housing development based on the advice of developers.
We will open up the Greenbelt, not all of it. We're going to open a big chunk of it up, and we're going to start building and making it more affordable. I've already talked to some of the biggest developers in this country. And again, I wish I could say it's my idea, but it was their idea as well. Give us property, we'll build, and we'll drive the cost down.
But
give us property. Give
Yeah.
us. We didn't give us anything. It wasn't give. Before they got the permits to build on it. But between the time they bought the land, that's when it became not government land. So when Doug Ford says, well, it wasn't government land. Yeah, because they had purchased it.
Yeah.
Between the time he became premier and the time this was announced.
Land that shouldn't be ever up for sale, by the way.
Okay.
And again, we have land that is already zoned and ready to go, but they won't build there.
And because clearly they had 5 months, which means like by the time the guy was named and whatnot, he had 3. 3 months to evaluate 7,400 acres of land.
Well, and
21 of the 22 proposed were ones that he picked, and 14 of the 15 approved. 14 of the 15, again, there's the theme, were ones that the chief of staff picked. And all this time, again, this is structured in such a way that the Minister of Housing and the Premier, who clearly for whom this is very important because he made this little speech before he became Premier. And when that little speech got out, the very next day people going, whoa, and he says, okay, I'm not going to touch it. And here he is again with his hands all over it. So you said, remember when we talk about abuser talk?
Oh, yeah.
You said no, and no meant no. And he heard, just wait a while and then try it again in an underhanded way. your no does not mean no with this man.
Well, I've got an interesting video clip for you about Doug Ford, expansion in the Greenbelt, the Liberal Party, and Mike Harris. It's 3 minutes and 28 seconds. I think you know which one.
Yes, I know which one that is.
This is good. For those who've not seen it, this is really good. Just check this out.
The previous government changed the Greenbelt 17 times. I'm going to repeat that number. 17 times. And guess why they changed the Greenbelt, my friends? Because they were building mega mansions for their buddy. They were building a golf course. They were building a golf dome. And they're building a Jiffy Lube.
Premier, just to pick up on that point, hasn't the Auditor General's report comprehensively demolished that talking point that you bring up over and over again, the 17 times the Liberals altered the Greenbelt? I covered that when it happened. It was 340 acres. It was mostly administrative changes, transition problems with the boundaries. It is not related in any way to the process you went under, which was 3 weeks. Nobody could apply. There were 600 applications under that process. So first, if you just respond to why do you continue to repeat that utterly demolished talking point that there's no comparison between these two events?
Well, actually...
Oh my God, what a public owning of Doug Ford on that one, man. That's something that he trots out all the time, is that, hey, listen, the Liberals in their 15 years in power, they changed the boundaries of the Greenbelt, 17 times. Firstly, as the reporter points out, it was a total of 340 acres. Doug, in this one changing of boundaries, is taking out 7,400 acres. That preferentially, by the way, essentially giving insider information to 2 developers and not giving it to any others. So preferential treatment, which, by the way, is insider trading. If it was the stock market, they would end up in jail for decades, probably, for this. Those boundary changes the Liberals were making were small tweaks to existing properties that may have been partially in the Greenbelt and partially outside of the Greenbelt, so that they could do whatever, construction things they wanted on that land, but it wasn't taking out massive swaths, thousands and thousands of acres, and handing it over to insider trading, essentially, to 2 preferential developers. Totally apples to oranges comparison there. The second thing I'd like to say to this is that the whole concern with Doug Ford in the Greenbelt, so Dalton McGuinty and the Liberals, they created the Greenbelt. Of course, 80% of the work was done by Mike Harris, the former Conservative Premier, when he protected the Oak Ridges Moraine. That's the 80% backbone of the Greenbelt right there. So that was done by a Conservative Premier. But the reason that, people were not afraid with the Liberals tweaking to the borders of the Greenbelt, they took out 10 acres there, 12 acres here, for a total of 340 acres over whatever a 15-year period. There was never any threat of the Liberals completely canceling the entire 2 million acre Greenbelt. Doug Ford, time and time again, has said that the entire Greenbelt is a scam, even though, by the way, it was basically created originally by Mike Harris, a Conservative Premier, with the Oak Ridges Moraine protection. So there is a real clear and present danger that if Doug Ford gets his way, it's a slippery slope argument, right? If he can do these 7,400 acres, next year it's 20,000, the year after that it's 200,000, and before you know it, the whole Greenbelt is gone. So that's why we need to watch Doug Ford like a hawk on what he's doing with the Greenbelt, because he wants to get rid of the entire thing.
And that goes to that clip that we just played. We're going to take Greenbelt, not all of it, but a big chunk of it. He's only started with 7,400.
Yeah, that's the start. It's the drip.
But what he said in that room,
he'll take all of it.
What he said in that room that day, that's the plan. He's not deviated from that plan.
No.
He'll delay, he'll wait till something happens, see if you're distracted, get a bigger majority, that type of thing. But do not let anything distract you from the primary objective. Doug Ford knows that one very well.
Well, here's another quick clip, and this is more of this.
Supply and affordability crisis.
Ford's literal response to this, the Auditor General's bombshell report that he rezoned land for 2 developer friends that saw them gain $8 billion in valuation, essentially fraudulently.
His response is, yeah, guilty as charged. Sorry, guys. Yeah, we're going to implement all of the Auditor General's recommendations so that this doesn't happen again. The only thing we're not going to do is we're not going to take the land back from my two developer buddies. We're going to let them keep that land and see this $8 billion gain in valuation. It's wild. He's literally admitting to corruption in plain sight and saying, sorry, guys, yeah, we'll be better in the future. And he's expecting that nothing bad is going to happen to him. This is insane. His strategy in that video that you saw at the beginning, he creates this false dichotomy, which is basically setting up saying, you either want to build more homes and you're with us, and we're going to build them on the Greenbelt, or you're against us and you don't want to build any homes. It's a false dichotomy because the Auditor General found there's a ton of land between Pickering and Hamilton. There's over 300 square kilometers of greenfield land that's approved for development right now. The developers can use. There's a huge, that's bigger than the size of Paris, France. So the idea that he has to take this land out of the Greenbelt is complete bullshit. We gotta take Ford down, man. We gotta take him down.
And that's the thing we've been talking about. 300 square kilometers. That's the size of Paris, France. Paris, France is a city of 12 million people that I've visited like a dozen times. That's not a brag. It's just a fact. Okay. Let's get that out of the way. I love that city. I'd go back anytime I can. 300 square kilometers ready to be developed. But all Ford ever says is, well, we got to build houses. We got to build houses. He's never even considered for a split second that there's already existing lands.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
he never talks about that. Well, you're either, if you don't want us to build houses, you're against housing. No, Doug, nobody's against housing. No one. Not a single person is against housing. We're against you building in the Greenbelt because you're not supposed to do it. You said you wouldn't touch it, but then you did your backroom deal and said you would to your friends. And we've got the tape. After you said, don't want us to touch the Greenbelt, we're not going to touch it. Said that in 2018.
And now
Also said that same thing about how I'm going to carve up a bit of the Greenbelt for my friends. Not all of it, but a big chunk of it. This guy is just so blatantly corrupt. It's absurd. Mm-hmm. And hey, Doug, if your OPP call me, I'm recording the conversation and I'm going to play it for the entire planet. So send it. Punk. Mob boss punk.
Whoa.
Sorry, I'm pissed.
We're not the show.
I know. I'm just mad. I'm mad at this blatant corruption.
You should be. And again, this Fatima Syed person from the Narwhal is going to give us a couple of tips here. But
cool.
Here, you need to hear how greasy this is. So I'm just going to play this for you. It's going to last a bit. But be prepared to pick your job off the floor.
And tell me about that. What did the report find about how the land was selected for development?
Yeah, I think, very early on my colleagues at the Narwhal and the Star were making connections to developers and these parcels of land. And the big question Ontario had was, were they tipped off? Did they know that the Greenbelt was going to be opened up somehow? Because the main beneficiary of this policy would be these developers. And the Auditor General basically confirmed it. And in doing so, she unveiled a series of events that I can only describe as made for political TV, because it wasn't the government that tipped off developers, but the other way around. What we learned from the report was that a small group of developers were able to directly deliver to the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing's Chief of Staff, who is the most senior, most non-elected political staffer in that ministry. The developers were able to give this person, whose name is Ryan Amato, a bunch of packages about lands that they wanted open for development that they owned. Not only that, but there was law firms representing these developers that was directly emailing Mr. Amato about more land that they wanted opened up. And this person was able to collect all these suggestions from the developers and hand deliver them to a covert team that he himself set up of public servants called the Greenbelt Project Team, and direct them to assess whether these lands could be open to development. And throughout the process, the report highlights how this person had so much authority in changing the criteria of the assessment that was used.
Mm-hmm.
So every time this team came up with an issue, Mr. Amato was able to tell them to ignore it. So, for example, this team came to him and said, some of these lands don't have the infrastructure you need to build on, things like sewage lines and electricity lines and access to transit and utilities and emergency services. And Mr. Amato said that they could disregard any infrastructure considerations and just look at the location of the lands and whether they were close to urban areas and developed areas. When the team came back and said, hey, some of these lands are actually deep in the Greenbelt, and if you build on them, it would mean you're creating isolated housing communities that are far from developed areas and are sort of like in the middle of the forest or in the middle of a lot of natural land. And again, Mr. Amato was able to tell them to just think about expanding the boundary of the nearest urban area.
Wow.
And the fact that this non-elected political staffer was able to do all of this, and his decisions were not known by his boss, which is the minister himself, or his boss's boss, the Premier of Ontario, Doug Ford, is wild. And also the fact that he was able to do this and his actions resulted in an $8.3 billion property value increase minimum for two developers who own 92% of the Greenbelt lands that were opened up is perhaps even more wild than the first realization.
This is a lot. So if I could just summarize.
So, Amato proposes 21 of the 22 lots. 14 of the 15 parcels of land that are approved are ones that he suggested, and 92% of them happen to belong to 2 of 6 developers who were able to hand deliver packages, like, for example, when Mr. Amato went to an industry dinner. Hey, Ryan, how you doing? I got this little package for you here.
Forget about it.
Now, of course, somebody's going to ask, somebody's going to wonder, gee, do those packages just contain plans? Hopefully, because we're in 2023, people are not including cash in the in the packages. Hopefully, they've learned from the days of Airbus. But it's like, yeah, here it's it's really funny. It's like Ivana Yelich tells Brian Lilly what it is he's going to write. The developers come in and tell the chief of staff of the Minister of Housing which parcels of land he's going to approve. The chief of staff picks a group of people out of the public service and creates his own little unit on the side, and makes them all sign NDAs, by the way. And not only did they sign, and not only did they sign the NDAs, but apparently anybody that had anything remotely to do with that, there were 93 NDAs in total signed.
That's a lot.
Unless you're protecting like intellectual property or something, or state secrets,
there's no reason for that.
Why do you need 93 NDAs for land?
That's what we call suspect, my friends. Where there's smoke, there's definitely fire.
Somebody's rubbing a lot of wood together. Somebody's getting screwed. And I think it'd be us. But
they're gonna take care of the infrastructure. No, they're not.
Of course not.
No,
because when that comes, it's something else is going to happen, right?
Yeah.
Just like they're going to clean up their own oil wells. Yeah, believe us. And then comes time to clean the oil wells. Oh, well, there's a reason we can't. I guess we should give them like a $2 billion subsidy for them to do what it is that they contractually did. And then, if a certain amount of that happens to go to an emergent priority. And it's like, well, we have to make sure to keep the industry going. So I guess, well, another subsidy. That's like, oh man, oh god. So yeah, that's how greasy it is. And there's another little bit later that I'll have for you, but I'm gonna have to go to mute to find it. But yeah, it's that greasy. And here it is, right? Again, I keep on saying their number one file. I mean, this was the thing that he promised before he went in, right? This is like all the gland heading you do before you sign those nomination papers to make sure that you got the backing that's worth your while to even try. If you're in it to win it. If you're in it just for more visibility or hopefully to gain a cabinet position, that's a whole different other race. But if you're in it to win it, right, all that groundwork that you lay before, this is his number one priority. But he wants us to believe yeah, we just hired this guy and, it was a task like, we asked him to do a comparative analysis of something, and just, give us a report. It's like parcels of land that could generate $8.3 billion profit to two people. Like, come on. Like, and it's for your friends, which is you probably design it in such a way that when all is said and done, you can turn around and say, oh, well, I mean, like we hired the guy and, we didn't think we needed to look in because, we trust our staff. And when we give them a project, we assume that they're able to take it from beginning to end. And yes, of course you do that, but, right, you verify. You bring in an engineer, a team of engineers, you ask them to design a bridge. You don't say, oh, well, yeah, that looks great on plan. Let's go and build it. You have someone do some calculations and test that, right? Before you build a damn bridge, right? Because if you don't test the math before you just take, I trust you, that looks good. Something could happen. Terrible. Like really terrible.
The statement here from Linda, we aren't going to see any hospitals or community centers that claim they'll build either. I don't fully agree with you on that one, Linda, and here's why. They will build hospitals. Oh, they will. With public funds, but they'll be private for-profit clinical surgical centers. It's the way they call it a different word. They're already doing it. And let's so one of the things about this 74-acre sell-off is also Highway 413 that he's trying to build, right? Highway 413 will cost taxpayers an estimated $8 to $10 billion and take 10 years to build. Not a lot of people actually want this highway. Very, very few do. And it will only add more cars to the highway is what it does. Instead of building actual public transit like another GO train or something, this will just add more cars and add to more greenhouse gas emissions. 2020, Ontario taxpayers were owed $1 billion in penalties by the 407 International Incorporated, the owners of Highway 407. These penalties are the result of the highway not meeting traffic volume requirements outlined in agreements with the province. The provincial Conservatives did not enforce these agreements and chose not to collect the penalties, nor did they choose to leverage penalties and demand tolls charged to drivers be reduced or removed. The same government recently decided to permanently remove tolls on provincially owned highways 412 and 418.
They've shown us the playbook. Oh, yeah, they'll be doing that. And then, well, we have to be open for business. We can't lose the competitive advantage. We don't want them to stop building right in the middle of it because they're not happy. Throw another virgin into the volcano. All right, here we go. A little more.
So the report says that these developers got preferential treatment from the housing ministry. What evidence does the report point to?
So the report highlights just the sheer amount of direct access these developers or people who represented these developers had to the chief of staff. One particular incident described is how the chief of staff attended this building industry dinner where he was handed packages about parcels of land by developers themselves who were sitting at his table or just at the event. And after that dinner, law firms representing the developer emailed him more suggestions and more information. And things like, when the team that we described earlier had questions about certain parcels of land, the chief of staff was able to directly communicate with the developers and bring back the team 5 USB keys worth of information about these parcels of land. So there's a lot of direct communication.
How much information about land can there be to fill up 5 USB keys?
Well,
This is not my
I wanna-
domain, but
I want to know how big those keys were, because you can get them up to a terabyte now. But they might have been small, but still,
okay.
you do realize that five keys, even if they were 4 gig or 2 gig keys, right? Say a 2 gig USB key. So let's say they have 10 gig of information, 10 gigabytes of information, and that would be 95, 98% what? Word documents. A Word document takes up, no space. So how much information is there to fill up 5 of them? And I'm going small with 2 gig keys. I think that's the smallest money can buy right now. Tell me if I'm wrong. I could be wrong. I don't know. But I bought a 128 gig key not too long ago, filled it with jazz music, and gave it to a buddy of mine. And I barely put a dent in it. And it was, I think it was $12 I paid for a 120 gigabyte key. So even if they were 2 gig, and they had 5 of them, so 10 gigabytes, and most of that is text information. That's a lot of pages, man. That's a crazy amount of data for basically Word documents. Maybe even if they were PowerPoint documents, but they still don't take up that much. Like, whoa.
But again, it's like I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, like, remember when they were talking about Trump when he was sitting at Mar-a-Lago and he was looking at some plans having something to do with Korea, I think, like this, and somebody was there, a whole bunch of people were like standing over his shoulder, and somebody was holding a light down to it, and like right at the table, just handing him packages.
Yeah.
I did like it's dawning on me. Out of all of them, Ford is the most Trump, except he can speak in complete sentences better.
Well, and he tends to stay on script too, right? He stays on script, and you can tell.
Oh yeah,
he may have. Look, not everybody is capable of reading from a teleprompter and being real smooth about it. Not everybody is. It's just as simple as that. Some people have a difficult time with it, and I can understand that. So, and I think he does have a bit of an issue with that, like a difficult time. And I'm not saying that's a learning disability. I'm not saying that he's not smart. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that it's difficult for some people to do that. Literally read it and try and sound natural and be in front of an audience. I mean, public speaking for a lot of people is very difficult, right? So I'm literally not picking on him here, but he's smart enough to stay on script, so he doesn't sound as unhinged as we know him to be. I gotta get a coffee. Be right back.
All right. I got another little clip for you. It may start a little early, but this was regard to the lack of consultation
of rights. What that says is...
Oops, sorry. So, sorry, it started a little Fatima Syed is saying that Ontario has something called the Ontario Bill of Rights. She's speaking about that right now.
Is that every time the government proposes a change to environmental or energy policy, they have to consult the public. Ontario is also bound constitutionally by a duty to consult First Nations and Indigenous communities about any change that could impact their land, which, as you can imagine, is a lot of changes that are proposed. None of this was done for the Greenbelt policy. The Auditor General finds that the public was not given enough time, that Indigenous communities received a mere handful of emails just informing them that the policy was posted online for their consideration, and if they had any questions, they could reach out to anyone in the government. And the public, in total, the government received 35,000 comments about this Greenbelt policy. And the Auditor General finds that most of them were negative, and none of them were properly considered or reviewed or responded to.
Yeah, and the thing that I keep going back to is the fact that this whole process was supposed to be completed in 3 weeks, and how were they supposed to respond to 35,000 negative comments, right?
And more.
So we asked for things, tick off the public consultation box, and just keep plowing on.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's doing right now. Right? Like that clip, that question. You keep on saying those 17 things. I'm the one who reported on that. You're lying. Why do you keep saying it?
Yeah.
And he'll go out and just keep saying it. Because he's got commercials going out right now, painting himself as a hero who's getting housing built. And the irony is that not one house has started being built
No,
on those lands yet.
nothing.
So that building homes is his number one priority. He's done absolutely nothing to build land on the 300, I never remember the amount, 300 square kilometers?
300 square kilometers, yeah.
300 square kilometers of land that's pre-approved and ready to go, has spent all his time and put all his resources in this, designed it in such a way that I see nothing, I know nothing, his minister as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and this report comes out, which is scathing, of which he keeps on saying he'll accept for the 14 recommendations. Clark was out at a press conference the other day, also saying we're accepting the 14 recommendations.
There's 15.
Yeah, yes, the 15th being review the crap shit job you just did. No, we're just going to keep forward. Nobody's getting fired.
I want.
So I mean, this guy, but nobody's getting fired. But the premier did refer Amato to the inspector general to be investigated, so throwing him under the bus. This, unless the inspector general is, he's throwing it to him to tick the box again, and the inspector general is going to find nothing, one or the other, right? Because I mean, how do you refer someone to the inspector general for investigation, but if you're keeping him employed, at least not suspend him from his duties, like from approving more land? So not right why he's being investigated for. So clearly,
Well, and again,
right.
let's
it's window dressing, right? It looks good.
Yes,
Oh yeah, he sent it like this, but there's nothing in the store. When you go in to buy something, there's nothing in the store.
And let's go back to Doug's constant statement. My number one priority is getting housing built. We're building houses. But Doug, there's no we in that. There's no we in the houses that are getting built. It's done by private developers. So when you say we, does that mean you're in the pocket of private developers? Are you standing to profit off this, Doug? Because the province of Ontario isn't building a damn thing. Because we have recommended lands ready to be developed, but you won't touch them. 300 square kilometers, the size of Paris, France, a city of 12 million people. But you won't build there. You want to carve up the Greenbelt so you can give them the property. $100 million loan at 21% interest to profit $8.3 billion. $100 million is literally bus fare on an $8.3 billion profit. It's bus fare. $100 million is a ton of money to you and I. $100 million is nothing to $1 billion, let alone 8.3. And again, that's 2016 dollars, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And remember what I said on
remember,
Friday?
because that explains why would somebody borrow money at 21% interest at a time when interest rates are like 1%? Well, not the Bank of Canada rate.
I want to know who loaned them that money at 21% interest. Was it was it?
That was my question the other day.
Yeah, was it payday loans? Somebody's making profit.
Well, again, right? No, but you're going to the bank.
Yeah.
Hey, I'd like to buy this Greenbelt land. Why?
So I can build houses.
But it's not zoned for why. But I just want to buy this land.
Yeah, I just want to buy this land.
Of course you're going to get an interest rate of 21%. You're buying land that you're not supposed to be able to legally, you can't do anything with. Why?
Right. Exactly.
Oh, yeah, no, we got a good business case for this. You legally can't build it. Hey, it's your money. Right? I mean, clearly they have the collateral to back it up. right? They're developers. So I was like, okay, fine. But, and then magically, land swap.
Well, do you remember what I said on Saturday's show? I went on for a little bit about how, there's a bigger picture here that people aren't fully seeing. So I'm going to try and color all in the blank spots on the paint by numbers. And I went on about it for a little bit about how, he's reduced, you can enter into a trade at 17 now, which means you're apprentice for a long time until you're fully qualified. But the government of Ontario no longer oversees qualifications because Doug Ford got out of that, which is stupid. Number one. Number two, you're starting at 17 as an apprentice. You're not getting union wages, and they'll keep you as an apprentice. And maybe because you're an apprentice, you're not getting any wages because we're going to pay, the province of Ontario will pay for the apprenticeship program. But in order to do that, they're going to have to pay the developers to apprentice these people. And somebody said, oh, Paul, you're being alarmist, and that's conspiracy theory. But is it, though? Because look at this little video in case you haven't seen this. This was from January of this year, and this is a repost. Pay attention to what this woman says.
It's me, back again. So my poem from yesterday ruffled some feathers. My boss phoned me, the builder phoned my boss. Take down the video, take down the video. It's kind of funny if you ask me. So here I am at home with no identifiable clothing, not on the job site, and I'm going to sell the poem again anyway because every single word of it is true, whether it got people's panties in a bunch or not. So here we go. I have worked in construction in Ontario for over 20 years, and I would like to make one thing perfectly clear. The standards of building have gone straight to shit, and your beloved government isn't protecting you a bit. The utter corruption that runs this entire industry has turned so-called progress into a calamity. They cut corners at every turn. They rush at breakneck speed. There is not a single rule left that they do not cheat. These bastions of greed should be held accountable. They should be forced to be responsible. Builders and developers had to pay the city some fees before they erected their towers of greed. But with a wave of the Premier's demonic wand, just like that, the rule is gone. Now, who do you suppose will cover the cost to replace the billions of dollars our city will have lost? You understand you can't keep adding people in buildings without infrastructure before a city starts crumbling. You understand the money that was meant to sustain the city and its people has gone into the pockets of the devils orchestrating this evil. If we don't stop the Premier and his populist sect, there simply won't be an Ontario left.
Oh, I don't know what happened to Mr. Beaver there. What she just spoke was the absolute truth. There's not a lie in her poem. It's absolutely what is happening. And I'm telling you, it's all part of his big game plan. Let's get these houses built. Building houses. We got to build houses. It's important to build houses. We're going to build houses on land people don't want you to build on. Taken illegally. Giving the property to them. And then he's going to have them built with basically free labor. You know that's what's going to happen. Like, yes, you'll have to have master electricians and master carpenters on site. But they will absolutely build these houses as cheaply as they possibly can. Because all they care about is money. I'm not being an alarmist. I'm not being a conspiracy theorist. I'm just trying to... It's a paint by numbers, and I've got all the numbers in front of me. It's pretty easy to see. This is what their intent is. Let's build these houses. Build these houses. We're going to build these houses on lands that you shouldn't be on. And they're going to build it with basically the cheapest labor possible. What do you think happens when they build it with cheap labor?
Bad quality.
You know, when you bring in people who are not fully qualified and are not getting paid, and they're trying to learn a trade, it all just spells bad around. maximize their profits, screw over the Ontario taxpayer, and laugh all the way to the bank. I'm not, this isn't conspiracy theory stuff. This is reality. This is what is happening.
It's been investigated.
And they don't care. Yeah.
No. I got another clip for you here.
Okay.
And our government's chosen to continue to build. Failing to act would worsen the housing supply and affordability crisis. Young families and newcomers in search of the Ontario dream will see home ownership slip further away.
And they're sticking to that message despite the fact that the Auditor General's report is just the latest in a long series of reports that completely eviscerates every single one of those points. This report makes clear again that the Greenbelt did not need to be open for housing to be built in Ontario. That we have enough land that is ready for development in this province that we're not building on fast enough, and that even the lands that have been opened up in the Greenbelt aren't really seeing construction right now, and there's no accountability mechanism in place from the government to ensure that construction begins. The Auditor General quotes the Chief Planner of Durham Region, where most of the Greenbelt lands that have been opened exist, who says that it would take at least 25 years to get those Greenbelt lands to be ready for construction. Meanwhile, the Ford government has said that they want to see shovels in the ground in 2025. And if they don't, they would return those lands to the Greenbelt, which, is very mind-boggling to consider in the light of everything we've been through since last November.
So we're building homes. We're building homes right now. It's going to take 25 years to make those lands buildable. By the time you bring infrastructure and clear stuff and bring everything to it. Yes. And then he says if it's not done by 2025, it's going to return to the Greenbelt. What are the odds that that's true? And if it is, now we're just setting ourselves up for a whole other bunch of lawsuits. Right? In his press conference, because I didn't show that clip, but there was a lot of talk, when you see something that needs to get done, you get it done, blah, 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 like this. So if it's going to take 25 years to make those lands buildable and he wants this stuff done by 2025, what's he going to do to get it done?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's a big timeline shortening.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That one has like 5 alarm bells.
Oh, yeah.
Just danger.
Danger, Will Robinson. Danger.
Oh, my word. Yeah. These guys are they're just too much. They're just too much. Yeah. Now, this is going to be tangled up in court forever. Right? There's no way he's building anything. There's no way he's getting a shovel in the ground there.
No.
There's no. So, just so much political capital wasted. So much of our time wasted.
So much of
all the energy that went into that could have gone into actually building faster on the lands that were approved. The Housing Minister's Chief of Staff was fully committed to this.
Mm-hmm. When they could have already had developable ready lands, ready to build on, ready to go. They already could have had shovels in the ground there.
Recruiting people, creating a new unit, getting people to sign NDAs, taking the packages. You paid for this.
Mm-hmm.
You paid for this.
Well, and what was the big thing he was rambling on about the other day? 500,000 people came to Ontario in the last year. We got to get these houses built quickly. 25 years isn't exactly what I'd call quickly, Doug. How's that going to house 500,000 people that come in next year, right? Like the man just
Say whatever you need to say to get through the nanosecond.
yeah.
Hope somebody doesn't check. Hope somebody doesn't compare. Hope somebody like you decides not to verify.
They're playing us for fools. They think we're stupid.
Yes.
They think we're stupid, and
that's what I keep on saying. Vote for someone that doesn't treat you like you're stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Don't vote for assholes. Vote for people who are nice, who speak nice about other people. Your fellow citizens. Don't vote for. I mean, like,
yeah.
It's exhausting.
Yes, it is.
Which is the point. They want you to tap out.
Well, here's
I got one more
tweet
clip. You got something?
Yeah, I was just going to read this tweet to you from Peter Ratcliffe, gentleman I follow on Twitter. He's just a concerned Ontario citizen. Doug Ford and his gang will be trying everything possible to distract everyone away from the Ford government corruption of the Greenbelt. Don't get distracted. Don't lose focus. They need to be investigated in great detail. They have abused their promises and our trust. I'm like, yeah.
I tell you, man. All right.
It's exasperating, and that's what they plan on it, though. They flood the zone with bullshit, and hopefully you drown in it.
Yep.
That's their game plan.
And while we're sifting through all the bullshit, he's like got commercials going on about he's the hero who's getting it done.
Well, and
programming.
Let's again, let's paint the bigger picture here. Ontario no longer oversees qualifications for construction sites, right? Mm-hmm. They're out of there. If you're qualified or not, they don't care. It's not up to the province to check that out. Number one. Number two, lowers the age to enter into the construction field at 17, so you can drop out of high school and go work in the construction field, and we'll pay you as an apprentice. Well, we're not going to pay you. We'll pay for the program, your apprenticeship program. Now, that has not actually been stated yet, okay?
I think they have to do that within high school, though.
I think you might be right about that.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
Drop out like this, but there's grade 12 and grade 13 courses you don't have to take anymore.
That's right. Not 13 because that's gone, but grade 12, you're right. Courses you don't have to take anymore, so you work as an apprentice, which means you're not getting paid. If you're in school, like if you're in high school, and you'll get a credit in high school, but that's free labor at 17. Not good. They're going to try and lower that to 16, I guarantee you. So they'll have free labor on construction sites. General labor, they won't actually teach them anything because all the qualified personnel are too busy with 9 jobs to handle instead of 1. And then they have to babysit all these people. So they're just going to have them doing general labor, hauling stuff, moving things, bringing stuff, getting tools, stuff like that. Yeah. Bringing the coffee for the crew. I've seen this happen. So now they're going to have free labor to do that. So, and think about it. You get your apprenticeship program, you get credits in high school for this. You're not going to get paid. So free labor, but of course, they'll have to reimburse the folks for training them. So the developers will get a kickback.
Yes.
From the province. So you and I are going to pay for the free labor that the developer doesn't pay for. Yes. Meanwhile, they've cut standards, codes right down to the bone. So much so that buildings in Niagara have collapsed because of corners that were cut by Doug's developer friends. I'm not making this up. Yeah, there was a news story about it. I think we covered it back in January.
Oh, yes, yes.
In Welland, actually. It was not Niagara, it was in Welland. A building collapsed that was under construction. Yes, Jillian, let's not cloak it. It's slave labor. That's what it is.
Yeah.
And they're just, again, bigger picture here, folks. Bigger picture. So he's going to develop the Greenbelt that he wasn't going to touch, but he's not developing it. Private people are. Private developers. And private developers are allowed to develop whatever the government says they can. But the government here got the land suggested to them by the developers. Usually it would be the province would say, you can develop over here. But they've bypassed that and let the developers tell them where they can develop, where they can build. But we're building houses. We're not building a damn thing. The province is building nothing. So stop saying we're, Doug, unless, of course, you are getting a kickback from the developers for this. Not making an accusation. I'm asking a question. Are you getting a kickback from the developers? Because you keep saying we're building. The province isn't building anything.
Yep.
And
Well,
nobody's asked him that question.
He says nobody has benefited. Has benefited. Past tense.
Right.
Nobody's yet asked, is there anything in the structure of any of this deal that will bring you benefit in the future?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You got to ask all the questions, especially with these people, because these
$8 to $10
people
billion
will answer the
for an
question
unwanted highway.
asked. Pardon?
$8 to $10 billion for an unwanted highway.
Yeah.
There are people who want it. The vast majority don't.
Yeah.
Free labor. Welcome to the new feudal state.
Indeed. Mr. Grizzly, how much time do we have? Does that show?
All the time in the world. I'm working from home.
All the time in the world? Okay. That's Doug Ford. Clearly it's a weird Juju technology day because not only did I knock over the thing, but it seems that all the notes that I took pre-show have mysteriously vanished and the computer borked
Of course.
earlier. So it's a threefer. So I'm going to be going from memory, so I apologize if I make any mistakes. But Hawaii, holy crap.
Yeah, 89 people died.
93 now.
It's not.
At least 1,000 missing. They are asking people to give DNA samples because the fire was hot enough to melt metal. It's an island, right? So the recovery and it is very different when you're on an island. And it seems that it was a fire hurricane.
Yes.
Because of the winds. Really, that's frightening and scary. I think that we have a total of 4 or 5 reported deaths in our terrible summer. So that's what happened there must have been incredibly brutal. Over here, there are new evacuation orders around the Alberta Northwest Territory border. Once again, Fort Smith, and there's a First Nation, which Ketladoche, I believe is the name, if I'm remembering it correctly. I had it written down, so pardon me if I remembered it incorrectly. But they're being asked to evacuate. There's a whole bunch of people that had been evacuated to Hay River, and now the people in Hay River who have come back, who've been back for 2 months after having to evacuate early in the season, them too are being told to evacuate. At first they were told to go south towards Alberta, but it seems the highway is closed, so now they're being directed to the airport. There's also Fort Smith, I believe, in Smith Landing, where I believe that's evacuation orders or evacuation alerts. At least 3,500 people are being affected up in that area, if not more, at this time. So, in British Columbia, there are about 400 fires still burning. There are some people around Adams Lake that have been able to go back home, but they're still under alert. There's going to be a very big heat spike up until Wednesday or Thursday in British Columbia with temperatures in the high 30s. Not as bad as the heat dome of last year, but still pretty bad. So make sure that you're hydrating correctly and taking care of yourselves. if you're and for the people I remember, I think that are in Fort Smith who have decided to stay home. Authorities are saying to make very, very sure that you are doing everything you can to keep smoke out of your homes. So whatever you can do for that. Please stay safe. And again, if you really can, I know people like to stay home and, protect their stuff if they can. But if you're getting an evacuation order, please do heed it, because sometimes you just don't know with wind behavior how it changes, and sometimes they will not be able to come around to get back to you a second time.
It can change so quickly, right?
In the moment when you're deciding, I can understand, it's your life's accumulations and your life's work and whatnot, but they are things and you are important. Just remember that. Okay. Yeah. I can't imagine. I just can't imagine. I mean, there, but for the grace of and touch wood, and I've never experienced anything like that. I just cannot imagine.
Mm-hmm.
Boy. Yeah. Your Kit Elaine says, I saw pictures taken in Yellowknife yesterday, so smoky. And yeah, in fact, it was so smoky that crews were not able to fight because of the smoke and the heat being so intense. The Premier of Northwest Territories, Carolyn Cochrane, I believe it is, has announced that there's about 120 members of the Canadian Armed Forces that are going to be arriving to help other people get a bit of relief. It's tough. It's a tough summer.
Yes, very.
Yes, just with if it's not fires, it's floods. And if it's not floods, it's tornadoes.
Or hailstorms. It's just, yeah. It's been crazy.
It's really.
Okay. I have something here that I think it spells out a lot of stuff. It's 1 minute and 37 seconds. It's from Ghost Gurney on TikTok. It's a collaborative effect. Just watch.
I don't even like the word private, because it's really not. You're never. I'm going to assure you, I'm looking into the camera, no Ontario will ever have to pay with a credit card. They will pay with their OHIP card. Unequivocally, we won't touch the Greenbelt. Unlike other governments that don't listen to people, I've heard it loud and clear. People don't want me touching the Greenbelt. We won't touch the Greenbelt.
So you support the upselling of services at private facilities?
Well, I wouldn't call it upselling of service. I would call it patient options.
So it goes way back to, if he's owned and the largest grocery chain in the country. He's privatizing everything, selling off our public lands for nothing. And the thing is, I'm not being alarmist. It's not a conspiracy theory. All the proof is right there. It's all in front of us. And we just need people to pay attention. Just please pay attention and make sure you vote in the next election. Because if we don't get rid of Doug Ford in the next election, or actually we should get rid of him sooner because of this Greenbelt fiasco,
Mm-hmm.
He should be. I know we don't have the ability to recall anybody like they do in certain states. We don't have that ability in Canada. But could we not have a crisis of confidence and lose the confidence of the House? I mean, that's exasperated. That's the exasperated sigh. They're robbing us blind. They're criming in our face. And now they're threatening private citizens.
Mm-hmm.
Because if, again, he acts like a mob boss from the movies. We need people to pay attention. Please pay attention. Make sure you get out and vote. Spread the word. We can't let this go. And you know what? I saw something interesting from, is it Amir or Amar Khan? He's a reporter talking about, he said, I saw something yesterday I never thought I'd ever see. And there was about 300 people that came out to Queen's Park yesterday afternoon. It was just like a lad last second showed up. Yeah, okay. Balls 87099 on Twitch. You're calling me a bald bitch and fuck you. Well, guess what, buddy? You're gone. I'm just going to block you. And yeah, that's it for you. There's no need for that. There's no need for that. Yeah. I'm not going to put up with people insulting me on my show that I take part in, on a show that I contribute to. You're not going to insult me. You want to have a conversation with me? Sure. I'll be happy to engage with you. But if you're going to start calling me names because I shave my head, well then, no, I'm not letting you get away with that. Yeah, we need people to be active. We need people to understand that this government is going to continue to do this because they think they can get away with it. We did our best to try and warn as many people a year ago during the election. We did our best. We didn't have a large enough audience then, but hopefully by the time the next election comes around, we'll have a large enough audience that we can actually help people get informed. And again, we're not going to tell you how to vote. We will never do that. But we will tell you, if you vote for this person, this is what will happen. And again, they're treating us like we're stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're committing these heinous acts in our face and thinking we won't notice.
Yeah.
It's just,
as I keep on saying, people do it because they think they can get away with it. They don't think they're going to get caught.
They just don't care.
As
long as they get paid. And again, it's developers and a certain grocer who seem to own Doug. You're never going to pay for your health care with a credit card. No, it's going to be cash or your ATM card.
Oh, something happened.
What's that?
Take a look.
Okay. Let's just scroll down here. And, I can't see it. Oh, there it is. Oh, he blocked you, did he?
Yeah. We need to take a little look what happened. Brian and I had a little interaction yesterday. I usually comment on his things and retweet his things sometimes because often they're really stupid. And about once every 2 months, he answers. So yesterday was one of those days. And, usually he says something like, read the article or whatnot. But yesterday that didn't happen. Yesterday was a little different. So let's look at that. Brian Lilly puts up a tweet and says, with one of his articles, of course, one of his articles says Trudeau's net zero regs push unnecessary fight with provinces. Canada already has one of the cleanest electricity grids in the world. Can improvements be made? Sure, but doing it wisely would mean working with provinces, not picking needless fights with them like Justin Trudeau and Guilbeault have done. Fact, telling the child that she must and will eat her broccoli, and that's just the way it's going to be. When the child crosses her arms, shuts her mouth, and holds her breath is not picking a fight. It's parenting. And in this case, it's governing for the long term, which then had him respond. Constitutionally, electricity grids are federal. And by the way, in a confederation, the feds are not the parents. Okay, actually, constitutionally, electric grids are, there's both federal and provincial. Federal sets the overall rules, and then the provincial decides how they're going to be implemented and worked out. But let's say what he says is true. If constitutionally electric grids are federal, then constitutionally Alberta has no reason to complain. Right. Also, in this confederation, the feds are not the parents, then why are the kids hitting up True Daddy for money every Friday? Now, aren't you late for your shift of lovingly cupping Doug Ford's balls? Shoo, go away.
I don't think he cared for that one.
And then he did. Again,
I think he got a little
come on.
by that.
Once every 2 months, he sticks his head out. He thinks himself smart. And then he gets reminded that he's a fraud with Doug Ford penis breath and that a loser can't outbitch a queen. And then he usually crawls back into his hole. I guess this time he crawled back into his hole permanently. Again.
Well,
gotta come for the queen. You gotta at least connect.
Yeah. You gotta get your butt handed to you.
I mean, come on. And here's the thing, right? It's not like I can't see his tweets. You just log off Twitter, go to Ryan Lilly, see his tweet. Right? So it's not like I'm going to stop quoting you and stop calling you stupid when you do stupid things. And, so I mean, block, but it's not like it's not like I lack object permanence that if you block me, it's not you tweet so much crap that it gets screen capped and gets back to us anyway, Brian. Seriously. It's like, you're wrong on the constitutional part, and you are wrong that in a confederation, the feds are not the parents. And when you turn around and you say other things, it's like the provinces can't do that. It's like, well, cities are creations of the province. Then there are certain things that are. Like, somebody's got to be making the plan for 20 years from now. If it isn't going to be the provinces, then that's usually mommy and daddy then. Right? You want money for your candy now, but mommy and daddy want to put it away for your college education. So you're going to get a little bit of money so you can buy some candy, and then the rest is going in for your college education, and you can scream, and you can pout, and you can hold your breath, and you can... That money is going for your college education. So, yes, I know you keep on saying it, and I know Danielle Smith keeps on saying it, that like provinces are not subordinate. Yes, they are a subordinate level of government. It's just
as simple as that. So I was leading to something earlier, and we got a little distracted there by some haters. And again, I want you to hate watch, but if you start insulting me on the show, I'm going to ban you, because that's not engaging in conversation. But here's what I wanted to read from Amar Khan. He says, seeing a Desi / Punjabi uncle at a protest is extremely rare. For the environment, unheard of. A gentleman I met at the protest said he would watch the news and get mad at the TV, but once he saw the AG report and understood it, he knew he had to come. You have to understand how important that is. People are paying attention. People are PO'd. The citizens of this province have finally decided collectively that the bridge too far has been crossed, and it's time to burn the bridge. because it won't stand. And again, like he says, to see a Desi or Punjabi uncle at a protest is extremely rare. For the environment, unheard of. And that's correct. And this is Amar Khan, who is a reporter with Global News. Journalist Global News writes about sport, race, tech, vulnerable people, and politics. So, a gentleman who would have a direct connection to what he's talking about. When you've lost the uncles and the aunties, when they're coming out to protest, well, that's telling.
That's what I said on the other show. This is something grandma can understand.
This, right? This is not a light thing. This is like people are seeing how corrupt this government is. And it's like, no, we're not standing for this. And you're right about that, Dan. Amar is a good dude. He is a good dude.
Mm-hmm. Yep. No, there's a lot of people that have been doing some good reporting on this one. But here's the thing, right? This is blood in the water.
Oh, yeah.
And, we criticize our journalists a lot, but there's one thing that political journalists really love, is a clear sign of blood in the water. That gets the juices flowing. Right? Because there are angles, there are a lot of people to talk to, there are players, there. Who talks to who first? Who gets the scoop? Whose freedom of information request comes in first? What happens when the Inspector General delivers his report? There are a couple of dates now set down the road where this pops up again. Little landmines.
Mm-hmm.
And every single time this Father Mucker shows up at an event to announce 205 more units, 102 more units. Every single time, that is going to come with some questions.
Oh, yeah.
He's in a political nightmare at the moment. He just wants this to go away. This is not going away. He even pulled a Danielle Smith in that press conference, remember? Answer that question. And then pursed lips.
Mm.
Right? I'm starting to get annoyed with you. Oh man. Oh,
I gotta share.
Apparently today, also, if you're watching Dean, I think that Dave Wallace is on Dean's show tonight because I think they pre-recorded.
Yes, he is at 3 p.m.
Yes.
Yeah, at 3.
We tried to get
it's going to be
first.
A burner. I can't wait. Well, we've been trying to get him, but it's
no. I wrote him the other. I thought about it too late, but I wrote him like, "Hey, we're doing this thing tomorrow morning." Because it's like, "Oh yeah, I should ask him." And he wrote me that evening. He goes, sorry, he didn't see it." Because I would have loved to have done it. He liked the show though. And then I thought, okay, well, you come on in at any time. And then this morning, just last night before going to bed, I looked it up and said, "Yeah, big thing. Do we have Dave tomorrow?" I was like, "Oh, Dean, man, stop scooping me."
we can still get David to come on the show though, because he's got a lot to say, right? So we can still get him to come on. I want to share something for you here. One of our, we all know who Roman Beaver is.
Yeah.
Babar.
Yes.
This is an interesting headline from Press Progress. I'm just going to put this on the screen here. Conservative leadership campaign paid anti-mask group leader to sell party memberships. Election Canada filings show Roman Beaver. I don't know how to pronounce his last name, so I'm not trying to make fun of it. I don't know how. It's Beaver,
I think.
Okay. Hired anti-mask leader Vladislav Sobolev to work as a recruiter for his leadership campaign. One of Canada's top anti-mask organizers was quietly paid thousands of dollars by the Conservative leadership campaign of Roman Beaver to act as a recruiter and sell party memberships. Sobolev is the founder of the anti-mask group Hugs Over Masks and describes himself as one of the original freedom warriors from April 2020. Sobolev was often found at the center of controversy during the pandemic, repeatedly cited in news stories as a key anti-mask influencer and spreader of COVID-19 misinformation. quality people here, folks.
Yeah. Well, Beaver was happily announcing the other day that he secured the nomination in York.
Yes, I saw that.
Yes, York Centre. And then, of course,
Dan says it rhymes with dabber, so it's Babber,
yeah,
Roman Babber.
Yeah. You know that thing that Melissa Lantsman did when people accused her of helping Nazis?
Mm-hmm.
Well, he's got some stuff now. It's like...
I saw that.
Yeah.
What a...
Too extreme for Ford Nation. Beaver is just right for the pro-convoy, anti-science, misogynist, rage-farming coalition Pierre Tolliver is trying to build. Look forward to see my friend Yara Sachs re-elected as the MP for York Centre, said Talib Noor Mohammed. Mark Garrettson, who's the MP for Kingston and the Islands. Just so we're clear how far Pierre Tolliver has taken the Federal Conservative Party to the alt-right, this guy is his candidate. And that's in response to Roman Beaver's tweet, I'm honored to be nominated CBC's candidate in York Centre for the next federal. Let's rally behind Pierre Poilievre to defeat blah, 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 whatever. Right. And I'm thinking, yeah, of course you got the name in the nomination. Of course you sure kissed enough ass. I mean, he's literally spent the last year and a half on Twitter. Oh, Pierre, oh, Pierre, oh, Pierre, oh, convoy, oh, anti-vaccine, oh, anything Pierre says, oh, Pierre. It wasn't enough to get you a safe seat. Guess he didn't press firmly enough, eh, Roman? But you got your nomination.
And here's an interesting...
you got your nomination.
Interesting story. This was published last night at 8 p.m.
Yet.
Oh, sorry. No. I was just leading into it. Okay. Keep going.
Okay. So he's... people are saying, he's too pro-convoy, anti-science, anti-misogynist. Nobody here is talking about his faith. And then he puts this up. Oh, sorry.
Nothing there.
Was there?
Happy to share
there
it.
We go.
There we go. I don't know if anybody... Oh, there we go.
So a Jew whose family suffered in the Holocaust is an alt-right misogynist for saying no one should be forced to inoculate against their will. Anti-Semitism thrives in the woke Liberal Party. Clearly, the Liberals are triggered. Good thing York Centre will fire Yara Sachs. Which then causes this guy, Jamil Javani,
Mark,
who was the reporter for, I think it was CTV, who says he was let go because, I'm guessing, a person who has pigment shouldn't be conservative. Which is what he alleged. Please take note of how the Trudeau Liberals, and he's won a nomination as well. Jamil Javani, he'll be running for Conservatives. Please take note of how the Trudeau Liberals have attacked Roman Beaver since he won the Conservative nomination in York Centre. These attacks are from the Liberal establishment playbook. They smear people from minority communities who refuse to parrot Liberal talking points. This from the party that had memes already ready for Richie Valdez and Araf Madani. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, sorry. But the new Minister of Justice and Richie Valdez, the new Minister of Small Business. Right, we showed them on the show. They already had it with the red background, and Richie Valdez is and Arif, the Minister of Justice, has already done this. He's only been Minister of Justice for 2 days, but bail and all that kind of stuff. So this is too extreme for Ford Nation, which is true. Ford Nation kicked him out. Beaver's just right for the pro-convoy. They were anti-science. They were misogynist. The MGTOW was on the rage farming coalition. Like, what part of that is not true? What part of that is an attack? People speaking unflattering truth or inconvenient truth about you is not an attack.
No, it's not.
It's stop lying about us and we'll stop telling the truth about you.
It's funny because it's true.
Well, if you do crappy stuff, you get crappy press. The press isn't against you if they report on you doing crappy stuff that you actually are doing that is actually crappy. You want better press, don't do crappy stuff.
That leads right into what I'm going to show on the screen in just a split second here, because it's all about that. And it's all about that. I'm just going to show this headline and then I'll read some of the story to you. But it boils down to that again. After Skippy went on yesterday about he's basically trying to he goes on about the CBC. Now he's going to have to go after the CTV because of this little story they aired last night at around 8 p.m. Pulliver's Conservative Party embracing language of mainstream conspiracy theories. Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre has been hitting the summer barbecue circuit with ramped-up rhetoric around debunked claims that the World Economic Forum is attempting to impose its agenda on sovereign governments. It is, some experts suggest, another sign that some conspiracy theories are moving from the fringes of the internet to mainstream thinking as people's distrust of government grows. In speeches to Conservative supporters across Canada, Poilievre has promised that none of his ministers will attend the international organization's conferences, including the annual meeting typically held in Davos, Switzerland. Quoting him now, "It's far past time we rejected the globalist Davos elites and bring home the common sense of the common people." What the hell does that mean? Conservative Party also recently sent out mailers that with a poll asking people to tell Prime Minister Justin Trudeau who they think the Prime Minister should stand with, working Canadians of the World Economic Forum. The wording implies Trudeau's cabinet is beholden to the latter. Oh, look at this. Poilievre did not agree to an interview on the matter.
No.
His spokesman instead pointed the Canadian press to a clip of him at a rally in Penticton, BC in July, expressing concerns over the government invading people's personal privacy and financial decisions. And this is another quote from him. "There will be no mandatory digital ID in this country."
We already have it.
We already have it. "And I will ban all of my ministers and top government officials from any involvement in the World Economic Forum." But you're for freedom, Pierre. You're restricting people's movements, Pierre. You're not taking away their privilege. You're restricting their movements, Pierre. But you're all about freedom. Freedom for me, not for thee.
Sorry, we should correct that. We don't have mandatory digital ID.
No,
but every one of us is carrying a cell phone.
ID. Well, cell phones, digital ID, your driver's license, your health card, and your passport. They're all digital, by the way. They're all in a data bank. So whether it's a digital copy on your phone or not, it's still digital ID.
Yeah.
And any one of those three, your health card, your driver's license, your passport. And they're suggesting, and I've done it, you digitize your birth certificate. All I did was take a snapshot and put it into my wallet on my phone. And it's also stored in the cloud. Because if I ever lose that documentation, it's a pain in the butt having to go and get it again.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Other news. We might have to be wearing this again.
Oh, yes.
Very soon. Very soon. Yes. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. It's green. Now it's red. Now it's green. Yes. Fani Wellness in Georgia is having 2 more people come to provide testimony before the grand jury tomorrow, Tuesday, because Tuesdays and Thursdays are usually indictment days. And it seems that Fani is not playing, and she's doing the thing that everybody thought that Jack Smith was going to do. So everybody thought Jack Smith was going to name everybody, but he says, nope, I'm just going to focus on Trump from now. He's got 6 unnamed co-conspirators, which I'm sure he's probably going to go after. But right now, I just want this case to be really nice and tidy to get him first, and then we'll deal with the rest. Fani's doing it the other way around because it's state, right? And can't pardon yourself or have anybody pardon you for state. So she's naming everybody, it seems. People are taking the number that seems to be coming out as consensus is 11 or 12. The people that they think that she'll name, but I've heard numbers as high as 14 and 16. It's probably going to be racketeering in that case. The Racketeering, Influence, and Corrupt Organizations Act, which has a minimum sentence of 5 years in prison. And cameras are allowed in courtrooms in Georgia. And it seems that Fani Willis is not at all interested whatsoever in providing Trump with any of the niceties he's been receiving so far. So there will be handcuffs and there will be a mugshot.
I'm looking forward to that. I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, she's not. And it seems then in that case, the orange shit stain has been running in his mouth as he does, and made some suggestions. Well, not suggestions, but pretty much outright suggested that Fani Willis, when she was a prosecutor, I think, or defense, I think maybe she was doing defense. I can't remember, but providing services legally to someone who was, I guess, a gang member, that they had a torrid, intimate relationship while that happened, and was the gang member's girl. To which she said, "You have about 24 hours to provide any documentation to prove that, or else there'll be more charges coming."
Yeah. TikTok.
And in the other case, where he has a black female judge in Washington, D.C., well, it seems that his little tweet, "You come for me and I'm coming for you," well, Jack Smith decided, you know what? I think that's enough to go with the judge and ask for some restrictions. I mean, especially after she just counseled him like less than 24 hours ago to not seek any retaliation or contact with witnesses or any of that kind of stuff. And then he goes on Truth Social and goes, "If you come after me, I come after you." And then he goes, "Oh, I meant that generally about my political opponents." Well, you should have used more words and specified that now, shouldn't have you? You like words, you use a lot of them. And this time you decided to be brief. Plausible deniability. So yeah, it seems that, and you have to understand that a lot of even though she has judged January 6 cases, of a lot of the judges have made scathing comments about Trump in their decisions. She hasn't yet. Right. So,
No.
Yeah. They had to go in the courtroom and explain themselves. So, yeah, he's not he's trying a strategy of trying it in the court of the public opinion again. And Jack Smith has turned around and said, yeah, we need to set some more new rules now about what he can do with that evidence. So, he can't be taking any notes, and he has to see them, specifically with his lawyers. And the dude had the temerity, the goddamn audacity to ask for a skiff to be built at Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah.
So he can look at the documents there with his legal.
Just go to your office, dude. Just do your job.
I swear, man. It's like at that job. It's like I just once. I wish there were like cameras in courtroom and all that kind of stuff in that Washington D.C. courtroom. Just like, bitch, you are wearing out my weave.
Yeah.
I'm just just like Trudeau, like, get off my lawn, right, during the conflict. I just loved one black female judge. Just look at him, like, bitch.
Well, let's take it one further when she just grabs the wig and throws it at him. Because when that happens, it's on now. It's like clear the room.
That if you get a drag queen judge, when
the wigs get tossed,
she grabs the window. Yeah.
Run. Run. Because shit is about to hit the fan.
It's either run or it's it's the big belting notes coming out and like Jennifer. Oh God, I can't remember her name now. And I'm telling you, from Dreamgirls,
Jennifer Hudson.
And you, and you're gonna love me.
Yeah.
Pull off the wig.
Yeah.
And then everybody goes. Those are the only two times the wig comes off. If it's a big dramatic moment, or somebody's going to be holding your earrings and your poodle at the same time. Or my chihuahua.
Did you see on the weekend how Skippy put out a video about how we need to develop around transit?
Yeah.
Okay. So
And how everybody fell over themselves fawning. Oh my God, what a brilliant! Like it was like nobody's thought of this idea before.
it's been on the books for decades. Number one, number two. If you're building around transit hubs, wouldn't that make it a 15-minute city? Well, let's.
It was a 17-minute city, so it doesn't count.
So it doesn't count. This is from Jennifer Keys, Matt. I'll scroll down and show the pictures in just a second, but I want to read this to you. To put a visual on the myth, excuse me, 1 second. To put a visual on the myth that we need to open our Greenbelt lands for housing. These are just 4 of a multitude of transit stations within the region that have provincially owned parking lots adjacent to transit. These sites are large enough in every instance that community amenities can be built right into these developments where needed. Daycares, grocery stores, cafes, new parks, even schools where needed. Some of them are in catchment areas with school capacity. This is not a radical model. It is a desired model, promoted in provincial policy statements and in every municipal official plan in the region. We can add more housing without adding more cars, without building expensive new infrastructure that will strain the public purse, without compromising agricultural land. We can create strong new communities. We know how to do this, and we can do this quickly. We have land, lots of land for housing. Where we put housing should not be driven by the interests of a few developers seeking to get rich quick based on a myth that we are out of land. Let's just take a look at these photos, shall we? There's the station. Look at all the parking. Look at all the land. Let's take a look at the next station, Highway 407 station. Look at all the parking and look at this giant swath of land east, west, and south of it. And I think there's more north, but that doesn't show in this photo. Let's take a look at this one. Oh, there's the Milton station. And look at that gigantic parking lot. Oh, look at this, the Oakville station. Again, gigantic parking lot. Infrastructure is already there for both these stations. And there's definitely infrastructure very close by to this one, as well as this one. So, what's it going to cost the taxpayer to run sewer and hydro and, oh, that's right, almost nothing because it's already there. We're just connecting to the existing grid.
Yep. Now, I saw that video, and I'm not going to play clips of it. No. It sounds very reasonable.
Oh, yes.
When he's talking about it. The thing is that he's saying he's going to make cities just a total passing of the buck.
Yeah,
First of all, cities are a creation of the province, not the federal government.
That's right.
So you can't make the cities do anything.
Oh, and he'll only do it for cities over 500,000.
Okay.
Was another thing he stated.
Okay, but only for cities. How many of those are in Ontario? What about housing for everybody else?
Nova Scotia.
That doesn't live in a city of over 500,000 with big transit hubs.
There's one city in all of Atlantic Canada with 500,000 people. Halifax. That's it. It's the only one.
Right.
So you're out there, you're on your own.
Right. So how's he going to make people do that? It's an idea that urban planners and city developers and civic engineers have thought about long before. But all those subway stations and transit stops with all that concrete, that wasn't the city who put that there. It's not the city who determined that goes there. It's not the city that determined that a parking lot that big should go around. That was province. So he's sitting there like he's almost trolling Doug Ford in this one. I mean, it's meant to be an attack on Trudeau. But if you're looking at the way that things are designed constitutionally, who has the responsibility for what? That one's trolling Doug Ford. That one's trolling basically all the governments in Ontario that came before that decided that there was going to be that much parking lot around these transit stations rather than residential.
Yes, exactly.
So yes, yeah, Why not? Yes, absolutely. Build more around transit hubs. But okay, but you have no power to make that happen. And it's not like you just like woke up, you were in your bathtub one day and said, oh, eureka, let's build more houses near transit. Like, and nobody's thought of that before. It's still not a plan. And they're going crazy because the Prime Minister said, well, housing is not a responsibility. Housing is not constitutionally a federal responsibility unless you're providing housing for military, First Nations, lodging for immigrants and refugees that you're bringing in.
I think it should be a federal responsibility, but it isn't.
Me too. But that's the limited responsibility. Because housing is clearly provincial responsibility. And yet, despite the fact that housing is a provincial responsibility, the Prime Minister is showing up with a Housing Accelerator Fund, giving funding directly to municipalities to help them build. Because that's what leaders do, whereas you are just whiny ass complaining and saying, hey, I got this great idea, and expecting people to kiss your butts because you said something out loud that people thought of decades ago.
Well,
and hasn't been done because the provinces haven't done it. And you're blaming the municipalities.
Well, and again, housing is provincially, right? Except so that they provide the funds to the municipality because the municipality takes care of it. All the province does is give money. That's it. All the responsibility is on the municipality. So it's not the federal level, it's the provincial level. And this just doesn't get talked about nearly enough. Yeah, that's it, PNC Bio. All these zoning issues, municipal, isn't that who decides who builds where within the city? That is correct. That is absolutely correct. So what is Pierre going on about here?
But
it's just trying to win the nanoseconds, all it is.
Yeah.
That's all it is. Yeah. See, zoning is municipal for the actual build.
Yeah.
And if anybody knows municipal politics, it's Dan.
Well, yeah. And Dan, I'm guessing that once the decisions are made, do they just get implemented, or do they have to go up to the province, to the minister for a final seal of approval?
Yeah, I don't know about that. I don't think they have to go to the province, but I could be incorrect. I could be incorrect on that. I think municipality has the final say on what gets built where because it's within their zone, right?
Okay. Then I would have been wrong about the station. I'm just wondering about transit stations, though.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it's provincial or municipal lands is the question, right? Because in some cases for GO stations specifically, they're on provincial lands and not municipalities because they can be, along a highway or something like that. But again, I don't know. Since the plans go through committee then to council.
Okay, and then they don't go up further. Okay,
then that would make sense. Yeah.
Then I was probably more wrong when I was saying that it was all the province. Then in that case. Although I still don't know for transit hubs.
Yeah.
If they don't include Doug, he throws a fit. Yeah. Okay, so the plans are supposed to go through committee, then to council. But with this government, I'm guessing. But that's still not the responsibility for the stations that are existing there. So good to know. Thank you for the clarification. I guess I was wrong about that portion, which is good to know because I will not repeat it. So yeah, I just don't understand in this one for Pierre how is the only thing you can do is incentivize when you're the federal government, so that we have a pot of money for you and right, develop an overall strategy. I think this is where we need to be going. So like this, we've got a pot of money here. If you want to do something in that direction, you don't have to take it, but then you have to explain to your constituents why you don't want it. I mean, and for provinces can turn around and, when the federal government says we have this pot of money, and they always treat it like some big thing, like, oh, this big depression. It's like often, right, because, provinces, we give them money for health and then decide to spend it on something else. You can give them money for childcare. Like, let's say if you were Quebec, for example, we've already been spending money on childcare for so long. So this extra $2 billion, thank you. We'll take it here. Well, take $2 million that we were putting into childcare, we'll replace it 1 for 1, and now we'll free that $2 billion to do something else without adding any additional spaces because we're already far ahead. Right? So sometimes when the federal government gives money, it's not like it doesn't end up being money in addition to, because sometimes the province claws that back.
Mm-hmm.
What they were putting in, they replace the contribution 1 for 1, and then they free up that money to spend on other things. So
I have one more video clip for you. This is from MPP John Fraser.
We're missing the accountability.
Oh, yeah. I don't know if you saw this. John Fraser is the current interim Liberal, a Liberal leader for the province of Ontario. It's only 21 seconds. It's a very short clip, but let's just have a look at this, shall we?
Mm-hmm.
Let's put this on the screen so we can all see it. And here we go.
Can't shucks our way through government. It just doesn't work that way. Ontarians expect more. Ontarians deserve more. They deserve a healthcare system where emergency rooms are open. They deserve great schools, right? They deserve real rent control so people aren't struggling to put food on the table. Right? They deserve a clean and safe environment. And you can't shucks your way to those. Can't
We say it all the time. The Jesus shucks.
Well, and what he said was we need rent controls because Doug eliminated them for buildings. What was it? Anything built after 2003 or something like that?
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember what the number, but he's eliminated rent controls for buildings built after a certain year. I'll say 2003. It might be a little later. It could be a little bit earlier. I don't recall off the top of my head. It might have been 2013. Either way, if you're moving into a new building, there's no rent control. They can jack it up as much as they want.
Yeah. Oh boy, Mr. Grizzly,
interesting how that works out, eh?
Yes.
Yes.
Do we have
we do,
a show?
Sir. We do.
All right. And I just realized that my.
Oh, are we losing Mr. Beaver? He's frozen. I think we've lost him again. Looks like, more technical issues. Looks like his computer borked on him one more time. It's just one of those days, folks. Sometimes the technology fails us when we really need it. And, that's just how it goes sometimes. There's only some of these things. I try and put in as many controls as possible, but not in control of everything, sadly, unfortunately. Yeah. Oh, there, he's trying to come back in. He just doesn't have a camera yet. Can you hear us, Mr. Beaver?
I can hear you. That was weird. All the screens just went dark and the computer shut off for 2 seconds and then turned itself back on exactly where it was without a reboot.
Weird. And you don't have a camera right now, but we can hear your voice. So.
Yeah, I think that must have been what happened. What wiped out the camera, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, this is a really
afterwards.
day.
So after we finish up today, I'm going to recommend you do shut the computer down, like do a full hard boot, and then run Windows Update on it to see if there's any updates for you, and then maybe run a malware. Malware Bytes is a program I used to use. If anybody can think of a better one to look, you may have some sort of spyware or malware on your system that seems to be creating issues for you. So we'll see about getting that fixed up.
Weird.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we can.
I didn't click on anything obvious to me, but anyway.
I think there's something happening in the background that is affecting your system. That's sometimes just what happens, Hey, we try and do the best we can with the tools that we're given. The audio and video we've got worked out pretty well. We just got to upgrade some computer software and hardware, and that takes time and lots of money. Effectively, I was doing some research on the weekend because this is a gaming rig that I'm using, but it's a 12-year-old gaming rig. It's a good one, and it was state of the art at the time. And I can get a few more years out of it, and I have every intention of doing that. But basically what I'm looking at, to do what we're trying to do, we need gaming rigs. And gaming rigs, a basic one starts at about a very, very basic one, just the tower, nothing else, no peripherals, no nothing, just the tower, is about $1,500. You can get them for as little as $1,000, but they're still, I don't know if they're going to be good enough for what we're trying to do on a daily basis. And we're not playing games, so we're not taxing the system to that end. But live streaming, as we do, and showing, documents and sharing stuff and sharing video on the screen requires a lot of processing power. Even though we do it through a third party, which is what Restream is, still a lot of processing power is required to do that. So yeah, we're going to have to upgrade to gaming rigs at some point, and I'm not looking forward to that because that's going to cost a big chunk of money that I don't have right now.
Yeah.
So,
well, Kits, that's the end of this episode of the Daily Beaver podcast. It kind of MacGyvered it. We hope you love listening to us because we love making this for you. Remember that sharing is caring and word of mouth is priceless, so let your peeps know about us because democracy is something that you do. Yeah, be on some backsides when it comes to that Doug Ford stuff.
don't let it go.
Don't let it go. Yeah, he needs, there needs to be consequences here. If you really like this podcast, you can find us on the Crier Media Network, as well as all Beaver Grizzly friendly platforms. Stars and reviews are appreciated. If you have the opportunity to give us some stars on our Apple podcasts site, we would really appreciate that. Try to balance out a couple of the hate watchers, even though we still appreciate their stars because stars are stars and viewership is viewership and engagement is engagement.
Right.
But yes, if you could go give up some stars, we would love that very much, and leave a review as well. And it seems that doing that helps people find us as well. So that would be very, very appreciated. We love to hear from you. Reach us on our Facebook at True North Eager Beaver, our Twitter feed at True Eager, or by email via truenortheagerbeaver@gmail.com. And thanks to Ray Girl, you can subscribe to us via Podpage, podpage.com/The True North Eager Beaver, lowercase letters with a hyphen between each one of those words, The True North Eager Beaver. And we will come to you as soon as we have something fresh off the bandwidth. Why not also subscribe to our True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated YouTube channel? That helps us out big time. Make like Elaine and smash those buttons. We can't do this without your kind and generous support. So if you feel that we've done a particularly good show, if you're watching, you can scan the QR code that will appear shortly by Mr. Grizzly's head. And if you are listening, you can use your voice command or your keyboard to go to ko-fi.com/eagerbeaver, all in one word, lowercase letters, and that is where you can make your donation to our emergency hydration fund, as has recently Kit Ada, who told us, just listened to Premier Porky Pig. Oh man, so much con BS troweled on super thick. Thank you for all you do. Thank you so much too. We love having you, and you've been very good to us over the past while. So we very much appreciate it. Thank you so much. And I hope I pronounced your name correctly because I know you told me how to pronounce it, and I think I remembered it was Aina, but I did it from memory. So if I made a mistake, I will go back and let me know, and I will go back and check. But I hope I remembered it because I tried to make a point to commit it to memory.
I've got it up on the screen now.
There you go. Lovely. Thanks. Thank you so much. So yes, if you'd like to do like Kit Aina and offer us a little love and support that way and encouragement, we would definitely appreciate it. And that squiggly that's just appeared on the bottom of the screen, that brings you to our pod page, like we told you earlier.
And we can thank Ray Girl for funding that for the next year. She funded that entirely for the next year. So thank you, Ray Girl, because I just was not capable of doing it. And we really do appreciate that. That makes a big difference because we can continue to get our having our own brand out there is important, So thanks again, Ray Girl. Really do appreciate it.
Yep, absolutely. From the Beaver Lodge, this is your Eager Beaver saying, until next time, dear kits, it can be a tough world out there. So please be kind to and gentle with yourself. Mr. Grizzly, some words of wisdom, please.
I was gonna go on the attack about Doug Ford, but I think because we've been bombarded with it, and we're going to continue to talk about this, and we're going to continue to attack him for it, and we're going to continue to encourage you to write his constituency office. But if you need a break from that, as we all do need a break from time to time, this is self-serving, but may I recommend you join into my ASMR for mental health at 9:30 p.m. this evening. I will be live streaming. It's only a 30-minute stream where I talk in a soft, soothing voice about mental health issues and how to work through them when you're having a tough time. So if you want to join in, 9:30 p.m. this evening on my personal YouTube channel, you can scan the QR code if you like, or you can just go to Polly's World 2005. you find me on YouTube, and that's where I'll be this evening at 9:30. So we can share some thoughts, and we can share some ideas, and we'll discuss on ways to deal with stress and anxiety and depression, and how we can help one another to heal.
All right, Mr. Grizzly, roll them credits, please.
Yes, sir.
You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver media podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. CanadianTarot.com, your uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community and forum, and The Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from fresh farm ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind.
Hello.
Hello. I know you can't see me, but hopefully you can see the visual.
I don't know if it's showing up. I'm
not
get
sure
it
if
on the
anything
screen.
is showing up on my screen. So yeah, this one would give me the feeling that not.
It is showing up, but it's pixelated and blurry. You can't really see it. It looks like you're trying to unlock a door. Is that what's taking place?
Yes. There's the picture of my beaver sweetie and my hands on hand putting the key in the door because 2 years ago on the 12th
You bought this house?
was the day we moved into the Beaver Lodge.
Right. Exactly.
So we had a little anniversary celebration on the weekend.
Cool.
All right, kids. Have a wonderful day. I will try to fix the camera. Maybe I just need to reboot for it to come on. I have no clue what happened.
Full scale reboot, and we'll get it fixed up. All right. We'll see you later. Bye.